what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining me again. We're kicking off the school year. We're about to go into our last semester and starting this season off with a really great special guest. Caroline, thank you for joining me today. Caroline Robaline's joining us. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm excited
to be
have
back.
you. We had way too much fun. You were great. And so let's just get this thing going. So for today, we've got 2 news articles that we're going to discuss. Then we're going to move into the chosen topic for today is Ricky Gervais of the Golden Globes. And then following that, I have a fun game that I'm going to be calling Donald Duck or Donald Trump. Caroline's going to see how to play when we get to the end. And, let's start off with this, because I really haven't had breakfast. And last night, it was brought to my attention that people eat bananas real weird. So I take pride in the way I peel a banana, and so I want to see how Caroline eats a banana.
I've never been, scrutinized for the way... Okay, I peel it from the blossom end, which is...
Boom! Which is technically the right way to do it, and people don't. So that's to say, if you take this end and break it down...
You're wrong.
You're worse than monkeys, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say this is the way that monkeys do it, because this end... Well, and then you try this end, and then it, gets, it breaks off or something. And so I peel it, and then I used to just go for it, and I just kind of pick it apart. Because usually I feel like if I just go for it, I'm like, that looks very...
You know what's funny is that reminds me of at Miami University, they had a Twitter account that was Miami Banana Eaters, and it was literally... you would catch somebody in the cafeteria, most often girls, eating bananas, and you would take a picture of them at the awkward moment, and it was just a Twitter account of people being sniped across campus eating bananas awkwardly.
No, I know, it's far too, I don't know. Just shoving it in your mouth, I feel like is far too, sexual, so I don't know. That's clearly where my brain goes, apparently.
Well, so this is another problem I have. Even though this is the right way to eat a banana, there's the pit at the top. Do you eat the pit? Yeah, she does.
I already did.
Because the pit's gone. I think it's just that because I spent my whole childhood eating it the other way, and so I'd always be conscious of gotta leave that in there. So now, when I eat it like a monkey... I always got this, pit, and I'm like, what do I do with this? So maybe I don't eat this thing right.
Well, are you not supposed to eat it? Is it like the apple core? You don't eat the apple core because it's I don't think you can. But isn't this it's poisonous or not poisonous, but... It's
true, though. Apple seeds have, a little bit of,
cyanide.
I think it is. Yeah, let's see.
They try to poison you. Which always kind of concerns me, when you give an apple to a horse and they just eat it, and I'm like, well, horses are also 1,000,000 times bigger than human beings, so I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
Okay, so,
Amygdalin.
Amygdalin, which is a substance that releases cyanide. So, you comedically said it, but I'm like, that sounds right. That's it. So, if mom's aggravating you, the next time she makes an apple pie, just slip her a few too many apple seeds, and,
oh my gosh. If you're just they're just kill your mother.
Don't do that. Okay, so bananas are delicious.
They are.
This was the move.
And nutritious. I mean, come on. Get all my potassium in for the week.
Speaking of nutrition, we will be talking about Lizzo's. Let's go right into that article. So.
All right, can I disclaim it right now? I have no idea who this lady is.
This is Lizzo.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, this is really Lizzo.
Okay.
But that's Lizzo, too.
I was like, if that's her, I'm surprised she can even, walk up on stage.
Here she is, right? Bingo. This is her proudly... I mean, listen. Be comfortable with yourself. I don't know. Well, let's just get into it.
No, see, I think there's a difference, being comfortable with yourself and, okay with the skin that you're in, and then trying to be but I'm automatically healthy. If you're comfortable, if I was overweight or obese, I'm maybe I could be happy, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna ignore all of the possible problems. I'm pretty skinny, and I think I have pretty poor circulation, so my extremities get really cold easily. And I recognize that, and I'm probably hey doc, help me.
But see, that's a thing though. That everybody has their struggles. But okay, today's article, well, one of them, we have 2. One of them, Jillian Michaels criticized for gross comments, quote, gross comments. So, on Lizzo's body, quote, it isn't going to be awesome if she gets diabetes.
Now, is that a gross comment on her body or on her health? I mean,
it's just gross in general. We need to dox her. Get rid of her. If you don't know who Jillian Michaels is, she is from The Biggest Loser. She was one of the trainers, and she's created a great and very successful career for herself with her own product lines. She does still fitness videos and fitness programs. She's built a really strong career for herself, and she has worked very hard to make herself somewhat of an authority on health and fitness. So to sit here and pretend like she's doing this in a negative way, I mean, look at this picture. I'm not saying anything terrible, but to pretend like, yeah, girl, you keep going. At the end of the day, I see something where it's like, this is one comment I was going to make to you before this. It's going to be really funny when, they're shoving her down our throat. So she's going to be this huge performer. Wait until
literally and
exactly. But wait until she travels the country, does all these shows late at night. She will honestly, because she's made herself this symbol of fatness, she's going to have to eat cake all night long to continue to look like this. She's going to be moving around night by night, and then she's going to be like, oh crap, I'm losing weight.
Well, that was like when
That's not good.
When I did a lot more performing than I do now, I don't get like into the heat of like, especially like when you started adding dancing to everything, like in musicals and stuff, like then you got to dance and you got to sing, or like, I don't know, I've never seen her perform, so I don't know what she actually does. It's super, like, it's very physical, and, like, I mean, even though I always kept relatively the same diet, like, I always lost a couple pounds, like, I mean, not that I have much poundage to lose, but, like, someone like her, like, you make a good point, like, if she wants to continue this, how, like, Lady Gaga's shtick was just being crazy, and now I'm gonna wear a meat dress, and, like, or Sia, is it Sia who has the bangs?
Yes.
Like, that's her thing, like, the Lizzo's thing is I guess am fat, and so like if I don't know, just sit on a stool and perform. I don't know.
Exactly, but also,
even then, like it's the adrenaline. I don't know.
But also, don't be surprised when criticism comes with it. Not to be mean, because I truly, truly love this person's music. But do any of you find it interesting that nobody criticizes Adele for her weight? No, because she just embodies being a superior singer, and her shtick isn't being hella fat.
Her shtick is being a good singer.
Bingo. So nobody acknowledges her weight or anything because she transcends that. She has made a career transcending her physical aura, even though she's not an unattractive person.
No.
And that's the point. We could sit here and have a conversation about, listen, she really isn't that bad. You ask for criticism when you're trying to force an unhealthy, this unhealthy lifestyle down people's throats. I think Jillian Michaels, this quote nails it for me and kind of emphasizes that point. Her quote that she gets in trouble saying specifically is, why are we celebrating her body? Why does it matter? Why aren't we celebrating her music? Because it isn't going to be awesome when she gets diabetes.
How's that gross? I'm sorry. Like, because people are like, okay, I never understand it's sort of like gay pride and stuff. Like, you want to draw attention to it. That's totally fine if you want to do that. But then don't be, like, shocked and appalled when criticism comes after you. And it's kind of like, what does it say? Why does it matter? Why are we celebrating her body? Like, I get... To me, it's like, okay, well then I want to celebrate my skinniness. Because if we're allowed to just celebrate whatever, like, can I celebrate my skinniness? Probably a lot easier than a fat person celebrating their fat. Sorry, that was kind of mean.
No, but it's true.
So it's just hard. It's like, well, why can you celebrate and I can't? Like, why can't I celebrate my body? I love my body. I just happen to be
And you work
skinny.
hard for it.
I do. Like, I go to the gym very regularly. I watch what I eat. I eat banana. Actually, that's the first banana I've had in, like, months.
Woo!
Good job.
Like a
drink
bunch of
water.
chicks.
This is my, like, always stay hydrated. If you're not at least equaling, if you drink a lot of coffee, if you're not equaling out the amount of coffee intake with equal parts water, that's dehydration right there.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not a doctor. I just know that from working in Orlando at the theme parks.
So what's interesting is, there's these girls that we went to college with that, like myself, have put on weight since college. Way more than I have, though. And their whole shtick is, like, they hate I hate going to the office and hearing women talking about their salads because they're working on their weight and stuff. Like, don't put that in my face. Blah, blah. And
then don't put your fatness in my face.
Bingo.
I'm sorry.
That too. But my biggest argument is stop pretending like, okay, we had this conversation earlier. Some people do have thyroid problems. Some people do struggle with genetic problems that provoke these types of results. But let's also not pretend that's good.
There's something, it starts with a B. There's something metabolism is like uber slow and they just can't. Is it their basil? No, that's a type of spice. I'll look it up. But it's like, and it just prevents, like when you're young, when you're like in elementary school and you can eat an entire cake and the next day it's fine. Because your metabolism is so high, but then either it slows down when you get older, and some people it's just genetically perpetually slow, and I don't know. But
we as a existence, as a human race, we can acknowledge having colon cancer is bad. So here's a bunch of nuclear waste we're gonna shove into your body to try to chemo nuke this out of your body. Like at some point, we acknowledge things are unhealthy and bad. It doesn't make you a bad person for having it. It's just we need to acknowledge that this is not good so we can help either curb this, prevent it. I don't know. I think putting into the world that this is good and you should be like this is only going to make Wall-E come to fruition when we're all giant fat people in moving chairs. And,
that movie is so underrated. Like, no one knows about it.
Because it's going to be our future. And
no one wants to acknowledge it. They're like, no, Wall-E, because that's what's going to happen.
But what's funny is Carlos Mencia said they had the perfect joke when I was a kid watching his show, and it's always stuck with me. Why do fat people get handicap signs? He's like, if anything, fat people should have a special sticker that puts them at the back of a parking lot so they have to get their extra steps in. I mean, you have a medical sticker.
I mean, and the hard thing is, like, it is, like, when you reach a certain level of largeness, like it starts affecting your joints and your respiratory system. Like you will walk across a parking lot and you have to sit down because you were so out of breath because your cardiovascular system can't keep up because it's so bogged down with just this enormous amount of extra weight that it has to deal with. But it does, the point about being in, making them walk. That's the one thing that always frustrates me to no end at theme parks, amusement parks, the grocery store. You see these people, I mean, like, and maybe I understand to a degree because I'm like, it is very hard for them, but like, get off your ass every once in a while and walk 3 feet. Like, it's not gonna, well, maybe, it's not gonna kill you. Like,
it won't. That's the funny part is pretending like I can't walk. You yelling at me and shaming me for my inability to walk is on you. It's like, well, it isn't, in fact. And
like you cannot perform a normal human function. There's something amiss. Like
and life has its struggles. You gotta go to work every day. It stinks. You gotta put in the work. And so to sit here and pretend like this is one, unpreventable, but two, that I struggle with it. I think all of us struggle with it, and if you don't get ahead of it, it only snowballs, right? It gets, you go a month, you go a week, then you go a month without going to the gym, it snowballs.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it took a while for me to get back into my, every night I would do push-ups. It took a while for me to get back into it because I was getting fat and it was harder to do. So and when I'm sitting there, reading until 11 o'clock at night and then I sit on the couch for an hour and play video games, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
And so now my muscles are getting weaker. I will totally recognize it snowballs to a point where it gets even harder than it ever was.
Yeah.
But as somebody whose weight has fluctuated, when you're at that point where you're at your peak of your fitness, you've got the ball rolling, it gets so easy and it just sheds off of you. And again, now it's snowballing the other way. Mm-hmm. You're only getting stronger, faster, and you get excited about it. And when we have all these people fighting depression and having all these cognitive anxiety issues, I listen to two comedians, they're Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. They always they're fat shaming each other into exercise. And the one thing they're always talking about is, wow, my brain is so much clearer. My cognitive function, I just feel so much better. I wake up in the morning and, I don't know if you've heard of intermittent fasting, but they say, skip breakfast and go till like maybe noon or 1 o'clock before you eat something.
I like food too much. I couldn't do it.
Especially breakfast food.
I love breakfast.
But, they talk about how you're clearer in the morning. I don't have to wake up and feel groggy. Oh, where's my coffee? I mean, again, I drink coffee plenty.
I'd argue coffee, if you drink black coffee, like no creamer, no sugar, that's like 0 calories anyway. So like, can I still have... But then having like that's something that acidic just going into your system with nothing else, that's probably... not a good idea. That's when you get organic coffee. I don't know.
And I think the biggest point, because I want to emphasize, I'm not trying to be mean. I struggle with this myself. But when it comes to those girls that I brought up that are just emphasizing, this is wrong, how dare you shame me, blah, 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 blah. If that is your perspective, that is going to be the hill you die on, well then, this is the point you need to be able to beat and refute. Your weight and your unhealthiness cannot snowball. So for you to be kind of fat and chubby, if you can consistently stay there, then guess what? I guess I'm wrong. I guess you've hit your regular and it's coasting.
Yeah.
But kind of what I was alluding to earlier is it snowballs. If you don't look in the mirror and go, wow, I do have more swelling
in the face.
Oh, I need to get more I don't fit into old pants. Pants are the biggest, meanest tell.
I don't fit into old pants because they're too big.
And that's how it should be. That's something to be proud of. And when we go here and pretend like, it's mean when the big girls get Adkins by bars with their pants. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but you're the one needing new pants to grow. We should be celebrating. There's no better feeling. And these people are going to make the argument that it's a social construct that it's told to me to feel good.
Skinniness is just first of all, I guess I technically don't have any ground to stand on because I have thin privilege. But skinniness, it's the ancient way of it's the only attractive way to be. Fat people can be just as attractive, and I guess, but that's. Then I think there's more of like something. I think I mentioned it last time. Like deep down, our like primal instincts. We're not like we don't. I'm sure, like, way back when we were cavemen, you wouldn't want to reproduce with someone else, man or woman, who is incapable of sustaining themselves in that kind of environment. So, maybe it was something that kind of, is sort of something that we grew out of because now you can sustain yourself and be 1 million pounds, and it's not good, but I guess who am I to speak on, what's good or not, but,
here's the thing. We are not sitting here saying what is good, but let's also not pretend unhealthy, dangerous things aren't bad.
Right.
Right? And so when you're ingraining into me, or you want to make an argument that great feeling I get when I put on a pair of pants that I haven't been able to fit into in a while is somebody else, putting this fiction in my head. No, you couldn't be more wrong. And all you're doing is combating biology and science, because it's reality, baby.
Yeah.
It's not that, oh my God, too many magazines since my youth has ingrained into my head this is what I should feel. No, I feel this way because it's biology.
Yeah.
What's hilarious is I brought to a few people's attention yesterday in class that this would be something we were discussing, and while they were men, they're like, "Oh, I thought she was gross from the beginning," and blah blah. And while those are mean
are you
comments,
talking about
sure,
Lizzo?
Yeah, yes, but it's like, okay. Why are they being demonized for something I can't control?
Yeah.
If your argument is, man, I'm a guy and I can't control needing to have sex with guys, or I was born a man and I can't control the fact that I'm a woman in a man's body. If that's an argument you're taking, you also have to acknowledge that there's a vast majority of this human existence that go, I can't control that I am into this type of physique, a curvy female. And that's it.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending you've lost your curves. When your curves turn into rolls, you don't have curves. And so I'm not being mean. I'm just speaking my truth, baby, and I'm seeing what I like and what I don't. And unfortunately, that aligns with health and biology. Oh, shucks.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, just the fact that, like, I'm like, you can't walk up a flight of stairs without having, like, a coronary concerns me, and I don't know that that's something that I want to live with. I don't know.
Listen, I'm not going to change you.
No.
Do you, live you. But don't be telling my society and my kids that you are the right thing and other lifestyles are the wrong one. I'm sorry. I'm taking Jillian Michaels, who's like 60 now, 10 times over you. Why? Because she doesn't look like she's aged a bit. My mom would have the Biggest Loser on the TV. I'm 9. Now I'm 26, about to finish law school. She looks like she hasn't aged a bit. Lizzo, you look like you're 100 million dead years old. So I'm going to say...
She doesn't look that old, but she might age.
She looks like she's decaying. She doesn't look old. She looks like this spoiling banana, right? Man, this doesn't look as fresh and yellow as it did 5 minutes ago. And it's because you're decaying. You're killing your body. You're suffocating it.
But...
So, again, Jillian Michaels, she's... How old? She doesn't look like she's aged a bit. I'm going to stick with the health expert. The fact that we have news, and this was on, like, the Today Show or something, Good Morning America. Hey, what are you guys doing ridiculing the health expert you brought onto your show because she's speaking the facts?
That's what I never understand. Like, this is a person, Jillian Michaels I'm speaking about, this is a person who for years has studied the human body, has, she's a very active human being. Like, she knows how our bodies function, what they need to thrive and survive, what hurts them, what helps them. And then for people to be like, how mean is it of you to say that fat people get diabetes? I'm like, excuse me, but she knows, like, you don't know. What do you have a degree in? Like, genders? I'm sorry. I'm getting really mean. I'm like, do you have a degree in genders? Yeah, it's really going to help you figure out, like, what you need and what you don't need for you to live a healthy lifestyle. Like, I don't know.
But honestly, just wrapping it up, I 100% agree with your point. And it's just unfortunate that this is somebody you brought onto your show who is an expert in their field, and they're being ridiculed for speaking science. And that's where our world has come.
But science doesn't... That's just what's
science takes a
science
backseat
to a lot
feelings.
of these people only matters if it helps their cause.
Oh,
it's like, I'm just going to close my eyes to reality, but I don't know. It's a very touchy subject because people nowadays are very...
Why should it be a touchy subject?
I don't know, but
That's where I'm at in this conversation.
People are so sensitive about everything, and it doesn't need to... I think, honestly, like, anything involving your health should not be a touchy subject because that's your body, and, like, you could...
And it's science.
So I'm like, if you're denying, like, if, let's say I was 600 pounds overweight and I'm just denying the fact that I could have these, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, bad joints, XYZ, like whatever, problems come with being vastly overweight, you're not helping yourself. And I think that's what frustrates me the most. It's not necessarily this whole, oh, you're skinny, so you can't speak on this because thin privilege. It's like they're throwing out this narrative, and I'm like, you're not helping yourself, and even worse, people are believing you, and then people...
Bingo.
I'm like, my mom the other week, I was told me that, like, by the year, like, 2030 or 2035, like, over 50% of Americans will be obese.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that really sucks, because people have bought into this narrative, for lack of a better term, that, like, you can be healthy at every size, and the reality is that you can. And reality is something that sucks. Like, nobody likes to live in the real world. That's why we have movies. That's why we have TV shows. That's why, like, we have theme parks to go to escape reality. But then we come back to the real world, and you see, oh my gosh, my joints are turning into mush because my body can't, like, the cushion there can't support the 300 pounds that I'm carrying on my elbows. So it's more of I do care if you shove your fatness in my face and make that, like, your single personality trait. But, like, all I ask is that you take a look at yourself and say, like, am I helping myself and am I helping others? And if you think you are, okay, then live that delusion, but you're not. Because being overweight and obese is not a healthy thing.
So
the end.
Exactly. And you can acknowledge where we're at in the world today when science takes the backseat to feelings. And that's in every sector of life anymore. I'm trying to find exactly.
She probably heard it on the radio. She listened to lots of sports talk, so they like to talk about that kind of stuff, right? I don't know.
Oh, 100%. I'm seeing that $110 billion are spent on fat expenses in America for medical.
I think technically more obese expenses. Because you can be, like, technically, like, fat is just, like, you know, like, over that cusp of a healthy weight. And somebody who might be over that cusp may not necessarily, like, be, you know, like, super big. But...
You're 100% right. I was just using juvenile language.
But I'm like, because like I think it is, yeah, I mean, like it is definitely like more of the obese and like the fact that, you know, health insurance, I mean, there are a lot of reasons driving high costs of health insurance, but the fact that my insurance that I pay for mostly goes to help these people who can't control, who I assume, I'm making very broad generalizations, but who seem, from what I've seen in the media and wherever, who can't control their food addictions or who perpetuate this you know, nonsense of healthy at every size. I'm like, I'm sorry that I am like a healthy, you know, I try to be healthy and fit. I eat bananas and I drink water and I go to the gym and I try to do a really good job taking care of myself, and I don't think it's fair that I have to pay for your problems. I mean, I know that that's sort of how insurance works. Like that's how like car insurance works. You're paying for like the accidents and stuff, but like it's just, it's very frustrating because I'm like, I shouldn't have to support your problem. I'm sorry. I'm
but
like,
here's the unfortunate
so
thing. You have to, one, finish your statement by saying I'm sorry, but also you're not allowed because
I say I'm sorry to everything now.
But it's because it's ingrained in our subconscious now. And also subconsciously, you know that it puts you on target, on blast, when you acknowledge your language was problem. This is a problem. And to pretend what's funny is the Democrats and liberals like to use soft words. They play word games.
Like kid gloves.
So, like, you know, for me, I can't ever say this enough. I go off to college, I'm learning philosophy, and I go, wow, I am clearly liberal. This is as me as it gets. By the philosophical actual definition as a liberal, but that's what a libertarian has become.
Yes.
A libertarian is, by definition, somebody who doesn't care what my neighbor is doing, what they're smoking, who they're screwing, as long as it doesn't affect me on my property. That's as liberal as it gets. But they have hijacked a word, and now they use fascism to throw at anybody they don't like. The most fascist thing you could do is shut down people and their ability to speak on subjects. You can't talk because you have this skin tone. You can't talk because you have this between your legs. Yeah, you don't get to talk real science even though you're a fitness health expert because you're not fat. You're not marginalized. So that's where we've become. We've reached a point where we play word games instead of actually talking about the facts of the matter. And again, to emphasize the point that I really like that came through in this is that science and reality in today's world takes a backseat to feelings.
Unless it furthers your narrative. I mean, there are some instances where, like, the science is there and you're like, okay, that's valid. I can appreciate that. And I think the other really tough thing with science, especially, I mean, I know we'll probably jump into, like, Greta Thunberg and climate change immediately when we get to Ricky Gervais, but, like, you know, even with that, there are so many, like, models and like statistics and things that everybody's looking at. So just, I mean, it's hard. Science is hard. I am not a scientist. My father is a scientist, so I'll believe anything. Well, I won't believe anything that he says, but I'll believe a lot of what he says, especially when it comes to science, because he has a PhD in science. I mean, specifically, like, geology and, like, earth studies, but, like, so when he talks to me about the earth, I believe him because he went to school for that, and not just school, but a very advanced school. Like, he wasn't just like, I'm going to speak on this because I feel really strongly about it, and therefore, you need to believe me. I feel really strongly about a lot of things that I'm not an expert in, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. What did I see the other day? Oh, shoot. I have to find it. I think I saved it on Instagram. Oh, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Bingo.
And I saw it and I was like, brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we'll get to Ricky Gervais. But first, last article, which we really don't need to spend
Meghan
much
Markle,
time.
I don't give a
So,
hoot.
as we know, Meghan Markle...
I don't like her, and I don't care about her.
Exactly. But this Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are stepping down from the royal family roles, and a lot of people are cheering them on. So the article today is Meghan Markle returns to Canada as Queen orders royals to find workable solution to her and Harry's future.
Why would you... Okay, so my question is, why would you accept the position? What is she, a duchess?
Yeah.
A princess?
I don't know
how
I think
that
she's
works.
A princess or...
But, like, how... To step into that role and then be like, I'm not doing it.
Well, you could tell she's definitely got that, I'm a strong, independent woman, and
you
you'll never
also married
control
into
me
the crown of
personality.
England. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, I mean, I have never visited England. I don't know that much about, like, current modern England things. But, like, you look at the history of, you know, I mean, really any country, but, like, England, like, they're so traditional. Like, so you're going to step into this thing that's steeped in tradition and then just be like, F it. That works in movies. I don't think that works in real life. Like, and as much as you want to be like, yeah, but I'm a strong, independent woman, like, okay, good for you. But, like, I understand the desire to sort of topple long-standing cultural, traditional things, but, like, some things have stayed traditional and culturally relevant despite their old age for reasons. Like, I couldn't tell you those reasons, but I'm sure they exist somewhere. And then just to suddenly be like, F it all, I am going to overthrow the queen. That's not what she's doing. But just, I'm like, what about the people like me? I'm a huge traditionalist, especially when it comes to church. Like, I mean, granted, not like the Bible, like not like interpretations of the Bible. Like, it is super traditionalist. Leviticus XYZ says a man shall not sleep with a boy. Homosexuality is bad. I'm like, we could have a whole nother discussion about interpreting the Bible in today's society. But, I mean, as far as like going to church and the tradition of certain things that we do in church that have not changed, I'm in love with that. And then to kind of see some people want to come in and just change it for the sake of progressivism, I'm like, you're going to lose a large sect of people that do a lot. I mean, I see it, I mean, it happens in my own church. Like, you know, you push this certain agenda and then you lose people. And maybe you're okay with losing certain people, but I've noticed, especially in my church, that the people who are very integral to the workings of the church are the ones who are being turned off by a lot of this. And it's very frustrating to see because I'm like, look, if you push yourselves any more towards like, I'm gonna get up on, you know, in the pulpit and speak to you, but the underlying theme of my sermon is not the gospel or the first or second reading, it's politics. I don't want anything to do with that. And maybe that's just me being super old-fashioned, but I'm sorry. I just went on a total rant. But
No.
Tradition is nice. I like it, but I'm a traditionalist. I can understand why people don't like it, but bring on the smells and bells in church.
I'm with you there. My only comment for this Meghan Markle, and one, I don't understand America's fascination with this like, I don't know if it's like our fantasy with Disney and princes and princesses, but it's like, why do we even care? Because I already have disdain for the royal family to begin with because they are so intertwined in the travesties of the world when it comes to human trafficking and child pedophilia. Harry himself and his father and whatever the other brother is.
Is it Charles? William?
Who cares?
I don't know.
That guy as well, all on Epstein's flight logs.
I think it was Charles.
So we keep pushing for a royal statement on that. They don't want to talk why they're going to Epstein's island with him. There is a gentleman, and this does me no good that I can't give you the exact name. I should do better research and prep for these types of things. But there is a gentleman who was knighted by the Queen and was so intertwined with the royal family, this billionaire, who would go around. He won his philanthropy to the country was that he would he donated tons of children hospitals. And then he was taken down for for child trafficking as well. There's some really creepy stuff going on here, and I think this is all just a charade. We are being distracted with, like you said, I think you nailed it with like why is everything so, especially Meghan Markle's agenda, why is there such this progressiveness agenda? And people are like, yeah, simply because, I don't know, her rhetoric, her narrative, what is the symbol that we all fascinate over?
This is my connection. All right, so this is super random. The magnetic poles of North and South, which they currently are I think in a couple of years actually going to switch, which will make it really interesting after I get my pilot's license, be like, oh, what's magnetic north? Which hasn't happened in like 3,000, like a really long ass time. And maybe that's like, we're going to topple the world because the world's already going to topple.
Wow.
There we go. That's my connection. It's very tenuous at best. But.
Well, I mean, it's just interesting that, okay, I don't blame the Queen for trying to do damage control. I think you nailed it. What are you doing joining this family and trying to bleed it? You know what it is? She has a dysfunctional family to begin with. When you hate your dad and you're fighting with your mom, you have no real family. Of course, it feels so normal to you to just go in and disrupt something that's, again, I'm not going to sit here and say tradition makes it right, but who are you to come in here? And I'd be so upset. Somebody married my sister and then came in and just started tearing apart her family. It happened with my dad and his brother and his sister. His sister just bailed on them and went to Pennsylvania, and from there, I don't know. I'm a very traditional person when it comes to family, not even like just secular things. You came into this family and just disrupted it from the inside, and I just can't believe America's fascination. I mean, when they got married, maybe it was Charles or whatever the older brother is, that when I was in high school, every teacher had it on the television. Like, whoa, why are we watching this more than when 9/11 happened?
Yeah.
I mean, this was like earth-shattering. Oh my God, somebody's marrying into some fictional family.
That's a little more heartening than 9/11. I don't know. People are attracted to tragedy and disaster, so which is always odd. I mean, it's like, the whole, like, you see a train accident, you just can't look away because there's some part of us that's like, disaster. I'm just fascinated.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, you go by an accident, I'm like, oh, is somebody dead? Like, Lord almighty.
No, but honestly, I just think it's interesting. The only reason I picked that is because, how much of this is reality, how much of it is a show, and just like the Kardashians, why do we care? So it's just interesting.
I don't know. I that's something I've always struggled with because I'm like, there's so much better television on. There's so many more things you could be doing with your life than following this dysfunctional, insane family. But to people, that's what entertains them. That's what takes their mind off of every day. And I'm like, you know what? That's valid. Like, why do currently one of my favorite shows that I just adore watching is called Carnival Eats on the Cooking Channel. If you enjoy deep fried food and watching a really tall, skinny man eat just carnival food, you should watch Carnival Eats. It's fantastic. But I mean, like, why, somebody would be like, why do you enjoy watching somebody eat, like, deep fried, you name it, and they've probably deep fried it. Like, why do you like that? And I'm like, I don't know. So I think it's just sort of, everybody has their different tastes, and that's sort of how I reconcile it, because I'm like, I just don't understand how it's like, wow, the Kardashians, and like, why do we care about these people? Because it's like, oh, they have a better life than us. And I'm like, no, I think my life is a little better than Kardashians.
Hey, I don't know.
I also don't have $1 bajillion, but I don't need $1 bajillion in order to have a happy life. So.
I'll just happily take $500 million.
I wouldn't want that much money, because then I'd be like, all right, now I got to invest in like some bodyguards so that nobody comes after me for my $500 million.
But it's just another expense. Like, it probably costs what those bananas cost to me. Just a couple pennies to keep myself safe.
Pennies.
And I feel good because Big Bubba's following me around.
Big Bubba.
Feel safe. So yeah, Meghan Markle and these weirdos can go kick a stone. I really don't care. Why do we?
Into the tens.
Yeah, so let's get to a more fun subject. Ricky Gervais is being hated by Hollywood but praised by the people because he spoke at the Golden Globes, as he acknowledges was not watched by no one. It's interesting. NFL's on Sundays, and they forever finish the games up by 7 instead of doing late night. Instead of having a late night game start at 8, they're all wrapped up and done by 7, so all of us can go and watch the Golden Globes, and still nobody watches the Golden Globes. So
I don't watch like any. I used to watch the Tonys, and
as a kid, I used to watch it, my family, but at some point it's like, oh, this is just all Hollywood propaganda, patting on the back.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, I don't care about people dressing up in their $1 million gowns, being like, oh my gosh, you're so pretty and amazing. Like, and then turning around and being like, but you need to be a better human being. And I'm like, who are you?
You should be fat. You should be fat.
Yeah, why isn't everybody in Hollywood obese? Come on.
Be fat. All right.
Get with the program.
So Ricky Gervais again was under fire. There's memes of Tom Hanks's face. Whoa, he's all in shock because somebody's finally saying what we were all thinking. And let's be honest, this is the most covered. Nobody's even talking about who won what. No. Nobody cares about who wore what. It's all about Ricky Gervais's comments. So
I was gonna say I know nothing about the Golden Globes apart. I know that Joaquin Phoenix won for The Joker, well deserved.
Well deserved.
I know nothing apart from the fact that Ricky Gervais just tore everybody a new one. Like, oh my gosh, I thought it was brilliant.
Absolutely. And so we're going to play his comment. There's literally a 3-minute video. We'll put the link in the bio so you can check out all of his comments. But here's the main one that is kind of going around.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and... So... It's already 3 hours long.
I think the one difficult thing with his I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. His thing about being like, don't say this, don't say that. So many people have already scripted and memorized their award speeches that it's like, oh well, I'm not gonna fix it now.
Yeah, good. You should look like a clown then when you go up there and your speech for, I don't know, pick the movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is all about Trump. Well, yeah, then you should be sitting in your chair feeling like a fool. Like why did I do that? So, again, I love this comment. You guys have less school than Greta Thunberg. Your entire... Whatever.
He's like, I don't care.
What is it? What was her words?
You have ruined my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. How dare you?
How dare you? So, again... You've also built a career. Your entire career is to not think and speak other people's words. And I'm sitting here, listen, I have a lot of affection for cinema, television. I understand that there's a lot of talent in being able to be an actor, a thespian. But also acknowledge that you are not some well-drafted thinker. You know, I'm not sitting here trying to build an ego and pat myself on the back. But as somebody with 2 degrees in college and is 4 months away from a Juris Doctorate, do you really have more credibility to speak on very complicated, very, important subjects when he's very right. You have less education than a girl who's autistic and is on an education strike. That is his joke.
She dropped out of school. It's not an education strike. She's just like, F school.
Well, but that's wait, she dropped out of school, but it is she called for everybody in her country to go on this strike and quit school. We should not be going to school until real climate change action is taken. No, you just want it out of school.
I was gonna say that's good luck.
Let's acknowledge it happened with I can't remember the city, but when in Florida, the school shooting, and the girl shaved her head.
Walked out?
Yeah, well, there was the walkouts across the country, but the kids at that shooting, man, I wish
Was it Parkland?
I think yes, it was obviously the Parkland shooting. So you had that boy who looked like an alien, and he was just angry 100% of the time, and then you had that Latin girl who shaved her head, and...
Why did she do that?
To prove a point, to make herself a symbol, to really, elevate herself as a character, as a symbol. But anyway, these kids are not in school. Listen, I understand. I don't blame you to be afraid to go back to school. That is one of the biggest tragedies that can happen to a child at that age. Yeah. But to pretend that you aren't a child and don't need to be in school and instead should be traveling the country like a rock band, putting on performances or TED Talks. Like, come on. You should be in school. So here's a child telling me that, climate change, I'm striking school. What authority do you have?
Be like, all right, where's your degree?
Again, I think that comparison was amazing. I couldn't agree
I mean,
with
there are
Ricky
some
more.
people in Hollywood that are very well educated, but
Yeah,
I think a
I
vast
agree.
majority of them are just full of hot air.
But one, they either are highly intelligent and they have to play dumb to be part of this game where it's like, if I speak out, or if I at all come off as conservative, which means you're not really conservative, you're still
You're
a liberal,
just mildly
but,
in the middle.
Well, not even that. If you just on one subject you disagree, like, no, I agree on climate change, abortion, and everything else. I just think people should have guns. You're a Republican. Burn the witch. So it's like they can't even speak out. And so it's this big mind mentality mob mentality of like, either be a part of the drone or get out. And so a lot of these people are just playing along with the charade.
Yeah, it is. This is totally random, but like one of my favorite like older comedies is Monty Python's Flying Circus, but they're all brilliant minds. Like they went to Cambridge and they went to like all these places. I mean, some of them have passed away, but like but then that was also a time when political dissension was still there. I don't think there's ever been a time when we were all like living happy-go-lucky, like, oh yes, all right. But I mean, they were well educated. This is so random, and I don't think it's making any point. But like, you had those people who never really speak out about things, and like I think now I have seen like John Cleese, who is nearly headless Nick, if you don't know who he is, and if you don't know who that is, then I can't help you. He made a statement about how London, like something with London or England, not being like as sort of, again, back to like the traditional, because like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's been invaded. That's a very sort of as a negative connotation, but it's just this influx of like a Muslim community, and he's like, what happened to like my English country? And then people were like, racist! And then, Michael Palin came out and sort of agreed with the general public. So, like, nowadays, it's like, but they have minds to speak, and, like, they are brilliant. That was random. You don't need to use that because it came out of nowhere.
And even building off of that, there's this really extremely intelligent gentleman named Jordan Peterson, and he's built this huge career. He used to just be a professor. And they brought him, he was from Canada, and they brought him into a parliament committee, and he was a part of this committee. They were drafting a law that was saying, the law was, it listed 70 plus pronouns, 70 plus, and if you don't address somebody by their pronoun,
so you're gonna get like fined.
Yeah, actual legal action. So there was a penalty, and then after a certain amount of infringements, then you could actually see jail time. And Jordan Peterson's
We're using the wrong word. Is this in America?
No, this is a Canadian.
Okay, because I was like, that's
again, was just a professor, very educated with his doctorate. And anyway, he took so much flack for simply saying, you can't have laws that are subjective like this.
Yeah.
If people can change, like, listen, let's just say, in a very real world, I can have a vendetta against you, and when you say he, and I go, no, I am a fox today. You didn't use the right one. Somebody come get her. She's dancing. No, anyway, it's like, at some point, you can't have subjective laws like that. And for it to be 70 plus only makes it ridiculous. When you got Fairy, Pixie, and Fox in
really?
Oh yes, I didn't make that up. That was thrown in on the 70 plus. At that point, you are living in a delusional world. Now this dude, so after being ostracized by Canada for speaking out against this, the dude has built a huge career touring America, Australia, Europe. He's written all these books. And so it's like, at some point, the cream rises to the top. I'm not saying all of Hollywood are dumb people. People would...
Right, but I mean, like, a large majority of them don't know what they're talking about. And because I think the other hard thing, too, is, like, they talk about these things, and they're like, do this, do that, and you should be like this, and this is bad, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but they're so, in a way, removed from reality.
Or our reality, at least. Their reality is not ours.
And that's how I feel about, like, in law school, when we talk about, like, the Supreme Court justices, and we're dealing with an issue that is very much grounded in the real world. It's like, well, how much of the real world do these people understand?
I've been saying that forever.
And that's how I feel about Hollywood is like, you have everything scheduled for you. You don't have to lift a finger. If you're like, oh, my back hurts, I'll get you, you know, a Swedish massage. It'll last 2 hours. It's in an hour. Like, they have so much just being like thrust upon them because they were, you know, in a movie. And I mean, granted, some of them are very talented, but it's very frustrating to see that. And then for them to come down, and then for people to actively listen to them and believe what they say. But it is true with the Greta Thunberg thing. I'm like, how many, like, you know, you talk about climate change and all this stuff. I'm like, how many have degrees in you know, climatology or, you know, meteorology? Well, that's weather, not climate, but like anything that involves like looking at the world through a certain scientific lens. Like, to me, I'm like, Greta Thunberg has no ground to stand on because she's 16 years old. She dropped out of school. And why do people listen to her? Because she pretended to cry once, and people are like, oh. And then people will be like, well, you can't be mean to her because she's a child. And I'm like, yes, a child who has now thrust herself into the public eye. And once you're in that position, you should be able to take criticism. And if you're going to berate me for being like, well, that's just mean, you're being mean to a kid, be like, well, I don't think that's fair at all. Like, if you want to use a kid as your platform to push a certain agenda, then that's fine. But like, she's a public figure now, and
bingo. No, I 100% agree. So some of the statements Ricky Gervais had, 2 tweets following the backlash. So he has 2 comments following the Golden Globes. The first tweet said, I didn't roast Hollywood for being a bunch of liberals. I myself am a liberal. Nothing wrong with that. I roasted them for wearing their liberalism like a medal. I'm such a snowflake liberal, I can't even really hate them for it. But my job is to take the piss, and I did that. I don't know how that... I mean, listen, I'm not English, so I don't get the last statement, but hey, whatever. And then the second tweet, he had 4 points. 1, simply pointing out whether someone is left or right wing isn't winning the argument. 2, if a joke is good enough, it can be enjoyed by anyone. 3, it's not all about you. And 4, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. So, again, I think his points are very strong, and that's what he's, you know, don't get distracted with the language. Oh, he's talking about Greta. Oh, he's not. No. Listen to his words and acknowledge what the point really is. He's not saying, he's a liberal himself, so he's not saying these are bad people or burn the witch. He's just simply trying to make a point. Guys, acknowledge that your reality is not. There are 350 million people in this tribe. You are not even a percent of it. You don't understand what the rest of the world's living like, what their life is like, and that's why you're stuck with Trump. And you keep playing this game and throwing your own pity parades, and you guys are going to be giving him back to the public again in 2020. It's a shame, but you unfortunately are going to make him our president because all you guys do is throw your own pity parades in your $50,000 dress.
Yeah, I was like, look at what they wore. And I'm like, I don't care. That could feed me for 3 years. Like, you know, you're so on about helping the poor and everybody. How about you just wear a plastic bag to the Golden Globes or the Oscars or whatever and give your money to people instead of yelling at us? You know what? If you want people to redistribute their wealth, that I don't think that's okay, but that's fine and dandy. But you can go first because you have most of the wealth. So, goodbye.
Bingo. I like that. On that, we need to move to something more fun.
All right.
So this game I have created, and it's called Donald Duck or Donald Trump. Now, I have a list of names here. Some of them are Disney characters from Disney movies. Some of them are actual congresspersons.
You do realize that I worked for Walt Disney World for 4.5 years.
Right, so this is why it's perfect for you.
God.
You
I'm
better
gonna
be
fail.
good. So we have, again, a list of Disney names and a list of people from the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives. So, if they are a Disney character, I want you to say Donald Duck. And if they are a congressperson, I want you to say Donald Trump.
Right.
And we're going to see how many of them you could get right for a bonus point if you can give me either the movie they're from or the state they represent.
Oh, well, that'll be the movie that they're from because I don't know anybody in Congress.
Well, hey, it's extra points, and plus you got a 1 in 50 shot. Oh, yeah. So that's it, Caroline. I don't have them done yet, but if you can win, let's see. Oh, yeah, there's let's say if you can get over 18 points, right? Or 15, we'll make it fair. If you can get 15 points, you will get the first edition. I'm going to be making Rethink Tank shirts.
Oh.
And so if you get, well, we might have to change the name. So that's kind of the only thing slowing down the shirts. I was going to already have them done. So I'm working with a trademark attorney, and I'm probably going to have to change the name. In that case, you're going to have the first edition of the shirt if you can get 15
if I can get
points.
These right. This is the thing, is because I'm like, what if you're like, I'm going to name somebody from, The Black Cauldron, and I'm like, oh god, I haven't watched that movie in years. And
I'm going to be honest with you, they're not that out in left field movies.
I feel like I just made it a lot more pressure on myself for being like, I worked at Disney for 4.5 years.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't make this game easy because I assumed you would know a lot of these Disney people, so... Again. All right, so Donald Duck, Donald Trump. Are you ready?
Oh, God, I guess so.
All right. Abigail Gabble.
That's Donald Trump. Donald Duck.
Okay, you got that right.
Chicken Little.
No. Aristocrats.
The Aristocats.
Yeah, whatever. You're right. Aristocats. That is what it says.
Well, isn't there so many? Anyway.
Debbie Stabenow.
That's Donald Trump.
Nice. You're killing it.
I got two right.
Can you give me a state?
Are you nuts? No.
We'll take a guess.
Arkansas.
Wrong. Michigan.
I don't know.
Democrat from Michigan.
Midwest.
Senator from Michigan. Let's go with Bonnie Hops.
Bonnie Hops, that's Zootopia, that's Donald Duck.
Woo! You got the bonus point too. Let's go with Chuck Grassley.
Donald Trump.
Bingo. Can you give me a state?
All right, we're just going to go really random. We're going to go Vermont.
Boom. Iowa. Unfortunately.
I was actually going to say Iowa. Boom. You're wrong.
All right. Dick Durbin.
Oh. That sounds like a Donald Duck, but I don't think I'm right. I think it's a Donald Trump.
So what is your final answer?
Dick Durbin.
Dick Durbin.
Dick Durbin. The way you said it makes me think... Oh, no. I'm going to say Donald Trump.
You got it.
Oh, thank God.
Can you give me a state?
Okay, Durbin? I'm going to keep in the Northwest area and say New Hampshire.
Ooh, Illinois.
Okay,
Democrat from Illinois. Let's go with Shelley Moore Capito.
Shelley Moore Capito? Donald Trump.
Boom. Can you give me a state?
Georgia.
Georgia. West Virginia. Not too terrible.
What's there? No.
Dr. Jumba Jukiba.
Oh, that's Donald Duck. He's from Lilo and Stitch.
He is! You nailed it!
He's that giant guy.
That's awesome. Jay Worthington Foulfellow.
Pinocchio, Donald Duck.
Wow! You're really good. Turkey Lurkey.
Are you kidding me? That's clearly Donald Duck. I am going to guess Chicken Little, though.
Wow! You're killing it on the Disney side. Angus King.
Angus King. Oh, this could be tough. Angus. I have to say Donald Duck because whose first name is Angus?
Ooh.
I'm wrong.
It's from Maine. We've got a senator from Maine. Angus King.
I thought maybe he'd be like a cow character in like Home on the Range.
Guy Reschenthaler.
Donald Trump.
Nailed it. He's from the House of Representatives.
Reschenthaler. What kind of... I'm see, my thing is like listen to the last name and then try and...
Reschenthaler. Reschenthaler.
No, what's another? Louisiana. I don't know.
From Pennsylvania. I was expecting you to know that, Miss Lawyer.
What? Just because I'm a lawyer doesn't mean I know things about politics. Like
Fair. Audrey Ramirez.
Donald Trump.
Wrong!
Oh!
She is from Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
Oops.
Oh, I should have let you guess that. Well, whatever.
But I've seen that movie like once a long time ago, and I was like, I don't like it.
Governor John Ratcliffe.
Oh, he's from Pocahontas. Donald Duck.
Wow, you're good. You're real good. Tammy Duckworth.
Donald Duck. Chicken Little?
Donald Trump.
No, but your name was Duckworth.
Duckworth from Illinois, the Democrat. All right. Let's go with Connor Lamb.
Connor Lamb. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Can you give me a state?
All right, what's a state that I associate with lambs? I don't know. Ohio.
Pennsylvania!
I don't know. I was right next door. I was close.
You were right next door. How about I can't speak, G.K. Butterfield?
G.K. Butterfield.
G.K. Butterfield. Donald Trump or Donald Duck?
Donald Trump.
Damn, I shouldn't have led with that. It is a Donald Trump. Can you give me a state?
What's a state I associate with butter? What's a Wisconsin?
Not that far off, though, because it is a Democrat from North Carolina.
Wisconsin and North Carolina
Aren't near each other, but I put them in the same, like, hillbilly, let's go to the farm type beef. Mac Thornberry.
Mac Thornberry. That sounds like from the Wild Thornberries, but that was Nickelodeon, that wasn't Disney. Mac Thornberry. I'm going to say Donald Trump.
It is Donald Trump. Okay, can you give me a state?
Thornberry, that sounds kind of exotic. I'm going to say Nevada.
Ooh, Texas.
Oh!
Not that far off.
In the middle of the country.
Widow Tweed. First name Widow, last name Tweed.
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck. Facts. Can you give me the movie?
Oh, no, but I'm going to be random and say, like, Sorcerer in the Stone.
Not that. It was Fox and the Hound.
Fox and that. Oh, of course! Wasn't she the one that, like, abandoned him?
Probably.
Or, like, I don't watch that movie because it just makes me so sad.
Let's go with Billy Bones.
Billy Bones. Donald Duck.
It is. Can you give me a movie?
Billy Bones. I can't.
No guesses?
No.
Treasure Planet.
Again, Atlantis and Treasure Planet, I sort of put in the same
I'm with you there.
category. Like, to me, I'm like, they're indistinguishable, and I don't particularly know or remember liking either of them, so. They have that very similar style of animation that was, like, mid-late 90s.
All right, two left. We're talking Jeffrey Fortenberry.
Donald Trump.
Yup.
Where is
State?
he from? Michigan. I just feel
Not
like...
bad. Nebraska. Final one.
Oh, Lord.
Charlotte LaBeouf.
Oh, that's Princess and the Frog. That's Donald Trump.
Whoa, you nailed it.
That's her best friend.
Woo! All right, Caroline, you definitely got 15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And that's not even the Senators. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Blew it out of the
Beat
water.
that.
So you're going to get the first limited edition Rethink Tank t-shirt. That's another thing that we're going to be doing probably on the next like 1 or 2 podcasts. We're going to be doing a challenge. I want to buy you pizza. So we're going to do a challenge. Them. I can buy you pizza too.
like
You're in on the game. So this is how the challenge is going to go. I'm going to keep track, and it'll be up to my discretion to tally up the totals. But you get a point for every video or anything you share. So for every share you get a point. And then if you subscribe, if you liked our Facebook page already, or you follow me on Instagram, or you follow the Rethink Tank on Twitter, those get you 2 points each. So I'll let you know when we're officially initiating it, but we're going to do that challenge with whoever shares the most and tallies up the most points. I'm going to buy you pizza. We're going to get you delivered right to your front step. Another thing I want to try moving forward is I would like to do a book club where I find a book that I really, really like, and we're going to do a podcast on the book. So I'm going to give you guys, because these are mostly my friends and y'all lazy and y'all take a long time to get moving. So again, as somebody who has trademark books that I need to read on a nightly and all these other school books, I will find time to finish this book. I intend to hopefully get you to. We're going to do this in May after I graduate. So this will give you all a couple of months to get the book. Take your time, but it's extremely fascinating. We're going to read Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by David McGowan. This is a book that, again, he emphasizes at the beginning, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm just laying out the facts. And this goes into Laurel Canyon in Hollywood and how throughout the 60s and late 50s, 60s, and 70s, how bands like The Doors, The Byrds, they bring up Jimi Hendrix, all these great performers that created this rock and roll scene in a place where nobody lived, how there's a very good chance that they were created by the CIA, and how, Jim Morrison always said his dad was dead, and there's a picture right before his career started with him on the Gulf of Tonkin ship, who his dad was in charge of. He was the captain of this ship, and this ship is what brought us into Vietnam. So there's this hippie counterculture that it's claimed that the CIA created. Anyway, I'm not even doing it a justice. This book is fascinating, and I'm not even through the 7th or 8th chapter. Fascinating, big print for all you slow ones. So, it's a really fun, easy book. Make sure you have your phone next to you because, again, I didn't grow up in the 60s, so there's a lot of people in here I don't know. Your dad will probably love it more than you will, and that's to say you're going to love it. So anyway, book club, check it out. David McGowan, Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. I would really like to do this, and I hope you guys genuinely trust me because I'm not a book reader, but I know the second you get into this, you're going to go, whoa, this is an incredible book, and I'm glad we got into it. So yeah, book club. Share the videos, like the videos. Thanks for joining us. Caroline, I hope you had fun.
I did. I really enjoyed the challenge, eating a banana, and the challenge at the end. If anything involves Disney, I am over the moon to talk about it. So. Well,
and you did really well. You knocked it out of the park.
Minus
what stinks is I really tried to find Disney characters that sounded like real people, and real people that sounded like Disney characters.
You did a good job with that because some of them I was because there are some movies that I'm they have very realistic people in the movies, but Charlotte LaBeouf from Princess and the Frog, that could genuinely be somebody in real life. So but when you're Governor J. Radcliffe, I was first y'all let it off with the word governor, and then when you're Radcliffe, I was oh, it's the guy.
Hey, that was his official name on the Disney Wikipedia, so I was just going off of the official title.
Or the Jumba Jumba Jamba.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, I had to throw some wacky ones in there. Dr. Jumba Jakiba. That's a great one.
I mean, where would you even guess that was from? Because, the movie takes place in Hawaii, so I'd be
the fact that you nailed the movie, too, goes to show I was messing with a professional when it came to these Disney characters.
I want more Disney trivia in the future. That's going to be your task.
I'll find some. That was a task. And so what it is trying to figure out, a good... I watch... Billy on the Street. I don't know if you've ever watched that show. It is hilarious. And he does tons of stuff like this. And when you're watching it, you're like, wow, that came out perfect. But then when you're trying to create one, it's so hard to be all right, I almost did football players or rappers. I'll probably say that. I was you're not going to... That would be such a crapshoot that it wouldn't be fair.
I don't listen to rap, and I don't like football. So
I was going to go off of 50 Cent. Use his real name. And use football players who have, but again, then I might get in trouble. So I just was I'm going to tread lightly, go Disney. So yeah, Donald Duck or Donald Trump, you won. Thank you, Caroline.
I like it. Thank you. This is great.
All right, guys, share. Thanks again. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.